Welcome, fellow Biafrans, lovers of freedom across the world. I welcome you once again to this very platform. Wherever you are joining us from, I appreciate you and I say, may Chukwu Okike Abiyama continue to guide you, protect you. Please, if you have not yet subscribed to this very channel, kindly subscribe, like and share. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. In this platform, we bring information that has to do with the Biafran people. Information that has to do with the Zoological Republic. In this platform, we bring details and videos close to your doorstep so that you can understand what is going on in the Zoological Republic of Nigeria. In today's program, you are going to hear the version of the Nigerian media on what transpired in the case of Amaka, the Igbo lady that is living in Canada that everyone is attacking. You are going to hear the version of Nigerian media, what they are saying and what they are bringing forward as their own points. It is important that we share this information for the whole world to see and know. After watching all the information, you can now make up your mind and draw out conclusions.
Thank you for staying with us.
Good afternoon, Esther, and thanks for having me.
Mr. Chukwuma is the author of The Future of Politics. I would implore you to actually get it right there on Amazon Nigeria. And of course, you can also make sure that if you're interested in politics, I think the book is going to give you in-depth or perspective or insight into what politics is today and in the future. Mr. Chukwuma, that is also going to be the bane of our conversation today. A lot has been actually transpiring post-election, but let's look at this particular situation. Now, the release of Nnamdi Kanu is the clamor all over. I'm sure on this platform, a lot of people listening to us will say we're always talking about it, but it's a recurring development. It's a story that is in continuum, so we'll always talk about it. Now, the fact is this, with these referendum, this e-voting that has taken place, does it guarantee Nnamdi Kanu's freedom anytime soon?
Esther, the e-referendum is contentious. Contentious to the fact that, to the extent that I don't know when it was conducted.
Okay.
The fact that
it was an e-voting.
It was e-voting
yes,
thing. The fact that I don't know when it was conducted.
Okay.
Also doesn't take away the fact that it could have happened.
All right.
And here we have Simon Ekpa saying that about 50 million people voted in that referendum. I think the beauty of what Ekpa has done is to highlight the fact that Nigeria needs to accept and assent to the fact that, look, we should have a referendum in our constitution. It's a democratic tool that is used all over the world, to make decisions based on people's votes. Just like you have a plebiscite. Unfortunately, we have a Nigerian government that thinks that when you mention the issue of referendum, the first thing that comes to their mind is that Southeasterners want to exit Nigeria. And that is wrong. That is a very wrong perception.
Okay.
You can use the referendum for a whole lot of issues. In some countries, if you want to do a constitutional amendment, you put it to vote. People vote in a referendum. In Ireland, they had to conduct a referendum whether to make a legislation in favor of same-sex marriage.
Okay.
In Pakistan, in 2002, Pervez Musharraf, the president, a military leader, conducted a referendum and used it to legitimize his stay in power, his transition from a military ruler to a civilian ruler. So I get somehow distraught with the fact that the moment you talk about referendum, the Nigerian government, they think is all about is all about the Igbo people. That is not what referendum is all about.
Right.
If you have to do a constitutional amendment, some cases you put it out in a vote. Should we actually, a particular topic, should we discuss this at the National Assembly? Because the people believe that they have representatives, but their representatives don't do enough on particular issue areas. So it is the best thing to do is to throw it to the public in a referendum, in a plebiscite. In 2006, a referendum was conducted in Sudan. And the people of South Sudan voted overwhelmingly to exit.
And that was how we got
South Sudan
out of Sudan.
After a series of wars, after years of carnage, people killing themselves. It's happened in Eritrea. between Eritrea and Ethiopia. They exited on their own. Referendum is not bad. And when referendum was conducted in Scotland in 2014, majority of the Scots voted, look, we want still to be part of the United Kingdom.
Okay.
After 300 years of union, it was put to vote, and the Scottish people decided, look, we still want to be part of the United Kingdom. Esther, since 2014 that the referendum was conducted, nobody has ever come up to say the Scots want to exit from the UK. I'm of the opinion that if you conduct a referendum here, there is a likelihood, operational likelihood, that a lot of people in the Southeast, if not majority, will assent to the fact that we want to remain part of Nigeria, because the Igbo man has expressly demonstrated his drive for unity.
That's your own perception. That's your own opinion.
I'm talking about
a couple of Southeasterners or Igbos may actually disagree with you. Those say that
Esther, how do
there is a referendum that would go for it.
Esther, how do we get an accurate opinion? Conduct a referendum.
That's what he said. He did. He said over 50.
Who conducted? Look, Esther. Let's be very factual about this. You know, to the extent that we want a referendum conducted, it should follow due process.
Exactly.
You know, you cannot. It's like being a judge in your own case.
All right.
Who conducted the referendum? That is the question. Okay. And I'm saying, let us make it formal. The Nigerian government, either ECOWAS or UN, can get involved. If we don't trust that INEC will conduct a free and fair referendum, let's get involved. The EU, the United Nations, ECOWAS, you know, even AU, to come in and conduct a referendum that will be free and fair. It is at that point that we will decide whether the people of the South still want to be part of this union or they want to exit. That is the issue. What Simon Ekpa has done, like I said, is negotiating. And the referendum that is put out in the open is a tradable. You know, is a tradable. He has brought something to the table.
Okay.
And he said he's going to conduct a convention, and even invited our own Minister of External Affairs
to be part of
it. All these things are tradables. And I relate it to what Yasser Arafat did, you know, from transiting the PLA as an authority to an organization that gets represented in the United Nations with observer status. You know, so let us do things.
Because the thing is, the reason why I'm talking about this, or rather why this is here, is because there needs to be a proper understanding of what is at play. A couple of people just naturally go negative or aggressive when they just hear about this kind of thing without having a proper concept of what it is. Some people do not understand what self-referendum is, or the pattern through which it was conducted according to the self-imposed prime minister. Nobody knows how the process goes, but he declared that this is how a lot of Southeasterners, Igbos especially, are interested in this, and they actually want to be extracted. They want to find their own nation. So that is basically why we wanted to have a proper context of this conversation.
Exactly.
But then here is the thing: where a situation where this kind of thing is called for, there are factors which he reeled out. He talked about certain issues which have bedeviled a lot of individuals, specifically from the region, from the southeastern region. He said marginalization was one of them. Underdevelopment, insecurity, attack against Christians, poverty in the southeast and south-south region as justification for self-referendum. Don't you think this should be an eye-opener for the federal government? If you go to the southeast, for example, there are a lot of underdeveloped areas, especially for how long, you know, that particular region has existed. Questions have been thrown to the southeastern leaders as the governors they've had so far. Why have they not really put a lot of investment or created investment opportunities in that region? Why is that region neglected? Why is that region, you don't have a lot of people residing there just because of the underdevelopment, no proper access to healthcare, education, even the roads? So what would you say to the fact that what he cited as a reason for this is basically what's transpiring there?
Esther, the reason for the referendum that we demand for, it's not hidden. You know, it's a road we have traveled several times. Okay. It is very clear that the southeast has been marginalized by the central government, and some of us even think that there's a conspiracy theory behind it. You know, to oppress the people. You know, to let them remain where they are. But that is the issue in contention now, is that Simon Ekpa conducted a referendum. And Esther, let me ask you, now that he conducted a referendum and people are shouting, oh, referendum has been conducted and 50 million people voted in favor, who is going to enforce it? That is the big question. Who is going to enforce it? So for us to have a referendum that will be enforced, the Nigerian government has to be involved. Probably ECOWAS, AU, UN or EU can get involved and legitimize the process.
Is this why this convention is being conducted? Where
The convention is also still being organized by a non-state actor. Who is going to attend? Will the EU be represented? Will the UN be represented? Will ECOWAS will the Nigerian government be represented? Despite the fact that he has extended an IV to our minister. So while we are looking at all these things, let us contextualize it within the ambit of legality and legitimacy, so that it will become not only broad-based but acceptable to the people. And if you talk about governors and underdevelopment in the Southeast, there are two layers to it. The Southeast people feel that clearly they have been marginalized by the central government of Nigeria. In terms, symbolically, if you look about state creation, the Southeast is the only region that has 5 states, while others have 6, with Northwest even having 7 states. That is an issue. Now, in terms of appointment, the people feel shut out of the space.
I already told you, I think yesterday we spoke, yesterday or 2 days ago, where I told you that in the recent appointment in terms of security for the South is only one person is being designated.
Not only the security. I also made reference to a recent appointment that was made by the president in the humanitarian ministry. There were 7 directorates that got directors.
Yes.
Incidentally, we have 6 geopolitical zones. It would have been proper to spread it from each zone, one person, one director from each zone, one director. But do you know what we got? We got 5 directors from the Southwest, where the president comes from. One from the North Central and one from the Northeast. Northwest got 1, didn't get any. South didn't get any. Southeast didn't get any. So these are the things that spike and fuel, the agitation for self-determination. That is on the part of the federal government. We can talk about it on ending, interminably, because it is very clear, it is very glaring. Now, if you talk about the governors, I also know, and the people of the Southeast know, that the governors have not done well for us. Because, you don't have to wait for the federal government to do a lot of things for you. You create a conducive environment for business. You see local roads that are deteriorated. You have craters, potholes. You see, vehicles cannot...
Deadly ones. That's why when these kidnappers want to kidnap, it's very easy for them. Even goods and services being transported, they get locked in those potholes, and sometimes they get stranded on the road, and they're open for thieves to take over some of those.
So that's also part of the underdevelopment. Like I said, it's a layer thing. The central government has a responsibility. The state government, you also blame the state governors because they have not done enough. Start by building roads. Start by building roads.
So the question now
Start by deploying infrastructure.
Yesterday I was speaking with Mr. Anosike, and he talked about the fact that it's all about envy for the supposed marginalization or hatred to some of the Southeasterners. For example, the conversation came up based on a particular woman who resides in Canada. She says she's a Canadian citizen. Slurs. Now, X has been rife with ethnic tension recently. In fact, since post-election, there's been quite a lot of back and forth. The question is, who starts off this ethnic slurs, and then, of course, the other person responds. Now, when this woman made the comment she made, it went viral. Abike Dabrerewa actually had to speak on it through her the agency that she's in charge of. And then the Southeasterners also brought out tweets of those from the southwest of Lagos or Ogun State, wherever it is they're from, of how they had made several nefarious statements, indicting statements of harming, persons from the southeast or those who are Igbos. And then this whole thing has continued. Now, the question I now asked was, what is the federal government doing about it? And then the agency that is meant to be responsible for actually proper orientation have gone moribund. That's a national orientation agency. They are now moribund. So what should be done, and how can the presidency resolve this marginalization beyond the whole self-referendum, the act for these Igbos to extract themselves from the country or secede that they've been clamoring for?
Oh, okay, Esther, I think we are not talking about the insightful speech and all of that.
It's still part of it's still part of the reason for the call for self-determination, the marginalization, the insecurity, the underdevelopment, the isolation. This is part of it. That is what culminated to the ethnic tension on social media.
No, Esther, it's not. It's not.
It's not?
Let's divide it.
All right.
Let's separate them.
All right.
The call for the ethnic slurs, wherever it comes from, wherever it originates from, is highly condemnable.
Obviously.
What the woman, Amaka, supposedly, an Igbo woman did in Canada, is evil, is obnoxious. No matter the level of hate, you don't express an intent to kill.
But somebody said that she responded to what a particular social space conversation said.
Esther, two wrongs do not make it right. So that is why I condemn it in strongest terms that I can. But on the flip side, let's look at the actions of people in government. And like you mentioned, Abike Dabiri.
Yeah.
Abike Dabiri happens to be one of our own fine journalists, fine newscaster. But since she got into government, she has expressed a level of bias that is inconsistent with her position.
Before she got the appointment.
But before she got the appointment, she was just a newscaster. She was a journalist. She didn't have an opinion of her own. So probably the appointment was able to unmask her, unmask the kind of geniality. When you see people in public places, like you are reading the news now, I can provoke you. Yes. If I provoke you now, you look at your professional background to react.
Yes.
So those geniality were probably hidden behind the camera. But now that she got the appointment, the biases exploded, because clearly she has been profiling a particular ethnic group, especially the Igbo group, wrongly. Do you know why I said so? I could read out instances where people from the West, our brothers from the West, meanwhile we are the same humanity. It's just differences in language and culture, minor differences.
Okay.
So we belong to the same humanity. Our brothers from the Southwest committed crimes and offenses at the international level. Outside Nigeria, and she was very silent on them. But the moment somebody from the Southeast, there's an infraction on that person,
very vocal.
She is very, very quick to bring it to the fore.
The road to the
like what happened to like what she's doing with the Amaka thing now.
Yes.
We had an Adenika Jr. who did the same thing under her purview from UK, and she was silent. There was a time that Yoruba prostitutes, sorry to say that, were paraded in Spain and Italy. Abike kept quiet. But when a certain people from the Southeast went to steal in Dubai, she quickly put it out there.
She said that her purview is outside Nigeria. Anything internal is not within her purview to respond to.
I have given three instances. One that happened in Spain, she was silent. Another happened in UAE.
And these are external issues that occurred that she did not bring to light.
So you clearly see some kind of selective justice on her part, on the biases. We don't talk about what the Oba said.
Do you think politicians are the ones inducing this and distracting people from what is currently going on? Maybe this would occupy them.
Politicians
they get
also
distracted from actually the focal, the real issues bedeviling the nation. There is insecurity, there is hunger. Our healthcare system is not it. Educational system is nothing to write home about. Youths are being underemployed. Do you think this is a way to create distraction from the main issues?
Politicians have their own problems too. Like they have exploited our fault lines unduly to divide us. You get the point.
Yes.
So, but I say is in response to the fact that there is something that is called people power.
Okay.
The people power, and we have a middle class that is clearly very well educated. The Nigerian diaspora community represent the most educated in the U.S. We are very proud of that. We are very proud of the achievement of our people, of Nigerians from all tribes and ethnicity. We are very proud of what they do. And we have a thriving middle class here that should be the mouthpiece of the people. But unfortunately, that middle class has allowed itself to be used and exploited by the politicians using our fault lines. Esther, go to X. Go to X.
That's what
the kind of hate. The kind of hate
it's
that
scary.
You see in X, very scary.
It's very scary.
And people clearly take to their ethnic biases and bring it to the public.
Terrible.
You see somebody, you see an Igbo man, you see that an Igbo man has made a mistake, and you see Igbo people supporting the person. I said, damn it, how can we, why did we turn like this? You see a Yoruba man has clearly made a mistake, and the Yoruba people are supporting him. You see an ethnic man, an Ibibio man that has made a mistake, you see people from his ethnic group supporting him. Esther, if you don't belong to the middle class, you cannot have an X account. So X account, social media clearly is...
At least you're enlightened, you're educated. Do you understand how to use social media?
You understand, especially X.
Yes.
X is very elitist. It's highly elitist. So you have to come from the middle class to be able to belong to use that platform. And so if the middle class, you see this kind of hate, you see the thing trickling down to the pedestrian level.
Obviously
to the pedestrian level.
That's how propaganda happens.
When you say Igbo must go, you see the urchin in the street who is probably doing his business and benefiting from the Igbo man, asking the Igbo man to leave. Because he doesn't understand.
Mr. Chukwumakoro, we've actually run out of time. It's a very scary situation, and I'm expecting that it should be addressed as soon as possible.
Let me land on the people's power.
Persons too. Bayo Onanuga had made such discriminatory statements. The First Lady had said so. I remember in 2019, during the presidential elections at the time, under the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari, all of these dissenting comments came from those who are occupying top positions now, and they're not afraid to actually say they made those statements. So if it's coming from that level, how should this be curbed?
Esther, the only way to curb it is to have responsible leadership. And
if those are your leaders, who are these leaders? If they're the ones encouraging it, then what happens?
I wanted to talk about people's power.
Sense
I wanted to talk about people's power.
To know what is actually going on.
When I say people's power, I will reference what has just happened.
Yes.
What has just happened regarding Joe Ajero. You know, it's like this government clearly wants to be bullied into responsibility, bullied into action. Look at what happened with Ajero. He was invited clearly now on trumped up charges because the police came to say, oh, it was in relation to the person that we caught. In the labor house. And with the pressure, with the mass of pressure coming from the NLC and the civil society,
BRGIE situation in depth as well, but possibly in the world news at 6 we can elaborate on that further. Once again, thank you.
Thank you, Esther. Thanks for having me.
To wrap up,
my fellow Biafrans, after watching this clip, I want you to be the judge for yourself. Go to the comment section and write on the comment section, tell me what you feel about this. I thank God for the Prime Minister Mazi Simon Ekpa, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Biafra. Biafran people are going to defend themselves. If it's going to take everyone out to defend Biafra, we will do that till the last man standing. May Chukwu Okike Abiyama continue to guide our Prime Minister Mazi Simon Ekpa. May Chukwu Okike Abiyama continue to guide our Liberation Army. Biafra government, peace, progress, unity and equity. We move airborne. Thank you, as they say.